Research-based decision-making, or data-driven decision-making, refers to educators' ongoing process of collecting and analyzing different types of information, findings, tests, experiments, or data to guide decisions upon which policies are developed. Research and development helps us recognize a problem and who is affected by the problem. Therefore, we can find a solution to the problem. The purpose of R&D is to help government and industry through the academia to use information and actionable knowledge to improve outcomes. R&D require high-quality data and technical assistance. Otherwise, data can misinform and lead to unreliable inferences. This is the reason why the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, under the leadership of its Executive Secretary, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, has initiated a paradigm shift to institutionalize R&D as a key component of Nigerian knowledge economy. In the previous edition of the program, the University Don gave an overview of his journey so far.
But that, like I said, the academia was not looking out to the industry. And the industry was not very comfortable with the academia, that it thought was too theoretical for their comfort. I'm sorry to be very frank with you. That has been the scenario for a long time. We couldn't continue that way. In the knowledge economy in the 21st century, check it out there. Japan, very small country if you want to by size and even population. But tell me, until a few years ago, Japan was number 2 largest economy in the world. And what was it? What has remained the secret? South Korea, you can go on and on. China today, China surging forward in terms of size of GDP and competitiveness of their economy and technology. It is all because of massive investment on R&D. So the R&D thing, check it out there. There is a strong correlation, very strong correlation between investment on R&D and competitiveness of the economies, robustness of the economy, sustainability of the economies of nations. The biggest out there, you check out Nigeria. Well, we always say we are in the top 25 largest economies. In Africa, we are number 1. But I remember the former president, Umaru Yar'Adua, would want Nigeria to scale up to the top 20. Who says we shouldn't scale up in another 5 to 10 years in the top 10? We have all it takes if we invest appropriately. That is precisely why now we've inaugurated the R&D Standing Committee, and they have gone far.
On this edition of TETFund, The Paradigm Shift, we view the concluding chapter of the insightful interview with TETFund's boss as he navigates us through the R&D revolution.
North Central University of Jos, TETFund Center of Excellence in Food Security, with peculiarities associated with the unique climate in Jos and Plateau State overall. This is an environment that is able to grow some temperate crops, just as they're able to grow some rare temperate breeds of animals. Northwest, Usman Danfodio University, TETFund Center of Excellence in Urology and Nephrology. I always love to recall when Professor Mungadi, he spoke earlier. Right, that's the man over there. He dazzled us last year. Myself and I think, was it the Executive Secretary of NUC, I just want to recall. Right, with surgery on prostate of an elderly person. It was live surgery. And we, the bloody non-medical experts, were marveling at the great depth and precision of Professor Mungadi at the teaching hospital. Precisely why we picked on some of these things. So you would appreciate why we took our time. We are hoping that beyond the first 3 years, that the Center of Excellence, maybe the method of selection may change and it may be competitive. But the first 3 years, we have our reasons for doing some of the things that we have done. The second one, Northwest, is Bayero University, Kano. Unmistakable, the Center of Excellence in
By leveraging the wealth of digital insights available at your fingertips and embracing the power of academic intelligence, it's possible for government to make more informed decisions that would lead to commercial growth, evolution, and increased bottom line. By implementing the right reporting tools and understanding how to analyze as well as to measure social development needs accurately, Nigeria will be able to make the kind of data-driven decisions that will drive our business forward and accelerate our productivity. Of course, this sounds incredible in theory, but it all comes down to the quality and quantity of the data at our disposal.
If we are able to have a house where research and research activities are emerging, but more importantly, that data is generated and a data bank is established within the National R&D Foundation. That will be a very important one. And if the data bank is credible, emerges through credible process, fundamental, respectable research processes, it's likely to be today, I say this, that look at it, the COVID-19 incidences across the world. Across the world today, everybody check it out there. The first reference is Johns Hopkins University. And that tells you. That's why we've always said universities are centers of excellence. You can have centers of excellence based on disciplines within a university. You can have center of excellence standing on its own, not in a university. But all the parameters of excellence are there, from the personnel to the operations, to the infrastructure. That is what a center of excellence is supposed to be, precisely leading us to why we recently established 12 centers of excellence. We're hoping to have additional 12 with 6 from universities and 6 from polytechnics, God willing, if it is so approved by Mr. President upon recommendation of the Board of Trustees and the Honorable Minister of Education in that manner. And that is it. You have the Center of Excellence in defined areas that the institution hosting them have competitive advantage, or there is a long-term consideration of why you should have it. I mean, you have a Center of Excellence on food security, for instance, at the University of Jos. Yeah, they are lucky that for food security, they have now a faculty of agri, they have faculty of vet medicine. But next door, we have NVRI, National Veterinary Research Institute, VOM, that has been a center of excellence in vaccine production in West Africa for a long time. We need to take advantage of this, and with the beauty of the climate. In fact, a temperate climate, partial temperate climate on the plateau, for instance. The same thing Obudu, Mambila. A lot of temperate crops and livestock can be grown in some of these areas. So we take advantage, target them as it were.
Sadly, in practice, even when Nigeria has had access to the world's greatest data, many decisions that disregard tangible insight have been made. Instead of trusting the science, previous leaders have chosen to go with the gut instead. In most cases, this has proved detrimental to the economic development. While sometimes it's okay to follow instincts, the vast majority of our development-based decisions should be backed by metrics, facts, or figures related to our aims, goals, or initiatives that can ensure a stable backbone to the spine of the country. The TETFund Research and Development Standing Committee, which will birth the National R&D Foundation, is the backbone that focuses on 13 sector areas of Nigeria's economy.
when you say why these sectors, it's as if we left some. I can tell you those 13 effectively represent the totality of the Nigerian economy. That's as far as I'm concerned. I wonder if you have identified a key sectoral area that has not been mentioned of this 13. I mean, like I said, when we say we left agriculture, but I told you, I said we have fisheries, we have food science and tech. We can go on and on. So there are some other details that I might not even have mentioned here. So yes, we had to carefully pick them. And like I said, when we characterized that of health as One Health, it was deliberate. It's a paradigm shift going forward. And we ought to start doing some things differently. And I can tell you, our focus is very, very clear in terms of what we want to achieve. And we considered every aspect of this country to have arrived at it. And we are hoping that in case there are some supportive areas, for instance, in fact, under governance and this thing, we also identified later, and we're going to see how to focus, for instance, on tourism, sports, right, the film industry. These are very important areas that ordinarily the subsectoral classification did not name them. But they already, the data have been generated in these three areas. You agree that the film industry is one massive area that is generating revenue for our country. In fact, I would say foreign earnings. Right. The same thing, of course, tourism.
If Nigeria is to make research and development the heart of its evolution and the catalyst to propel the nation into the stratosphere of global economic competitiveness, then TETFund's financial investment in public tertiary institutions must transcend the limits of infrastructural development. The need for improvement of the faculty of Nigerian universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education therefore becomes imperative. Tertiary institutions are expected to promote inquiry and advance the sum of human knowledge, to provide general instruction to the students, and to develop experts for various branches of public service. This can only be achieved by improving the content component of these institutions.
When we talk about the content component, you know what, for a long time, from ETF to TETFund now, we have been referenced more in terms of provision of physical infrastructure. Yes, people are clapping wherever, well, we know it, about the content. And for instance, if we talk about the content from my perspective at TETFund, for our universities, polytechnic, college of education, one of the first areas of this thing is academic staff training and development. That is a key content component. And you will agree with me that whatever we did, if we had not decided to invest on postgraduate training massively as we did, when I said, I love to recall, when about 7-8 years ago, only 40% of lecturers in the Nigerian university system had PhD. But by 2015, and that is 6 years ago, isn't it? By 2015, the percentage had moved to 60%. And we're waiting for the correct indices from National Universities Commission. And we hope, we are almost confident that as we are talking now, the percentage of PhD holders in Nigerian universities has moved from, it should be in the region of 70 to 80%, or even above 80%. And that is significant, because we needed a crop of faculty members that have the capacity to train others. And that is a content component. Capacity building in so many ways, but first acquisition of higher degrees, as well as continuous training, including what we are doing now, improving capacity for grant writing skills. From conversion of PhD thesis to the larger one, which is manuscript development by lecturers. To take book, they are evaluated by TETFund. And many of them qualify for publication, and they are supported by TETFund. That is a content listing. And of course, journals publication. We had to identify both professional and more recently academic journals, institution-based journals to support, so as to encourage, to make sure that, because a number of journals at some point, about 9-10 years ago, we discovered that, believe me, most journals had gone moribund. It was very frustrating. People were looking for journals, and you go the journals, some of the journal offices, you went there, they had been publishing, and you discovered they didn't have, it was typewriter. You are not talking about desktop. You are talking about typewriters at that time. It was as bad as that. So we're able to make available seed money to those that we identified, the professional journals, 5 million naira each of them. And believe me, the report came fantastic. And as a result of that, a number of journals have met international best practice standards. Well, even the library development, a very important content component. But finally, research. That is the area where Dwelling will be speaking more about. And research, we have two categories of research grant support. We have IBR, institution-based research, with a ceiling of 2 million per grant. Well, as small as the money may appear, a number of good research outcomes have emerged over the years. And we added the funds to it recently. Then the National Research Fund, with a ceiling of up to 50 million. And that is pretty significant, to be honest. And some of the research outcomes are very encouraging. Groundbreaking research. We've noticed it from outcomes of NRF research grant execution. And that pleases us. And we're just hoping that we will continue to improve on this. And so with research grant skills, capacity building, and change of orientation by our lecturers, we hope that we will refocus on the content components now more than ever.
The success of the TETFund paradigm shift lies in consistency and continual growth. It will enable the Nigerian economy to create new business opportunities, generate more revenue, predict future trends, optimize current operational efforts, and produce actionable insights. That way, the nation stands to grow and evolve over time, eliminating poverty, increasing resilience, and becoming more adaptable as a result.
If Nigeria gets it right, and we emphasize knowledge economy as a defining parameter for our competitiveness, we emphasize science, technology, innovation, and my God, that my idea of a national research foundation comes into being. We'll be talking more about factor-based engagement of issues on television, on radio, in the newspapers. You will have database that is reliable. At the moment, National Bureau of Statistics is doing a good job. I must say so. They're doing a good job, granted some of their limitations. I believe that they can be strengthened, and they have complementarity. That if at the end of the day we have the NDRF, and there is a strong database with information generated, stored, and referenced across the world, it will be one of the most dependable, because we need to have a database where you are sure of the information there is reliable, is systematically obtained and generated. Difficult to question it. That's why I mentioned the Johns Hopkins thing about COVID. Universities have that advantage. And that's why I had talked about the think tanks are supposed to emerge naturally from the National Research and Development Foundation. Think tanks in various specialist areas, and that government can fall back on them. So that is the idea. Check out there, the Finlands of this world. I mean, call it. talking about innovation, Israel, UAE, of course, the Koreas, of course, Japan's, of China, US, of course, as it were, investing one of the highest on R&D. Yeah, one of the highest on R&D. I am hoping that with our making a case for R&D, that Nigeria's current commitment of only investment only 2.2%. Yes, for R&D will jump to anything where we hope that within 10, 20 years, as you are hoping, that it can scale up beyond 2%. Britain is around 3%, if I'm not mistaken. The R&D, investment on R&D as a percentage of GDP. And, but 0.2%, honestly, we're down the ladder there. We can do better. And once we scale it up, and that is the essence of our making the case. And believe me, we will be able to do many things, including, look, we tell anybody, look, is it defense? We say we're self-sufficient. We can produce fighter aircrafts as a nation. We can do so many things that the more competitive nations have been doing, and we're watching them because Nigerians have the capacity to do so anyway.
The digital world is in a constant state of flux. And to move with the ever-changing landscape around you, you must leverage on research and development to make more informed and powerful data-driven decisions. Decisions make or break economies of nations. This is a testament to the importance of R&D in decision-making. Countries that approach decision-making collaboratively tend to treat information as a real asset more than countries with other, more ambiguous approaches. The evidence speaks for itself. And that is the paradigm shift.